Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Rick Helps Real Estate Show. Checking in with my friends again over at Zoodealio. I want to do this at least once a week. You're not going to see a lot of numbers, a lot of data that I like to share, but I kind of like to drive around the building and talk about some of the interesting things that we see. And Kayla, you guys are all over it. You're really on top of industry news. And not that this is just going to go out to real estate agents, but I think if you're thinking of buying and selling, understanding some of the stuff that's coming on board for real estate is interesting stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And we are passionate here about the future of real estate. And one of the interesting things that I believe will impact real estate in the very near future is blockchain.
Yeah, you guys had a video the other day about blockchain, and I may be old, but I love learning new stuff, and I don't understand a lot of it, but that makes me want to dig in deeper. It's like, okay, I don't get that, because sometimes you hear the word blockchain, like, okay, next, get me out of this rabbit hole. But you guys explained it pretty good the other day, Colin. I think you actually showed a graphic of a chain and talked about what it would mean with title companies. So go ahead.
I was just going to say, absolutely. I think that one of the things I want to urge, everybody that's listening to this, whether you're a real estate agent or a homeowner, is to actually take it at its source and not say, take me out of this rabbit hole, because to me, it's going to become as mainstream as the car did to the horse and buggy at one point in time, or the cell phone revolution did to communication and text messaging, et cetera. Right now, I think at the end of the day, it's as simple as verifying a transaction, right? When you can give in real estate, we'll just keep it super basic, a verified fact of who is the ownership, and it's done in instantaneous real time, right? When we look at the even just what happens from a title company when they enter in an address to go in and look at the history of who the ownership was, to make sure that they have transferable title, proper chain of title. Well, imagine being able to do that in real time, right? To eliminate, I don't want to say necessarily eliminate those costs, but eliminate that time. And I think that that's where a lot of this technology revolution that continues to just come at us in the real estate industry. So whether you are in the industry or whether you're a homeowner, why it's so relevant, right? For 99% of the people out there, their home is their greatest asset. And so getting an understanding of, hey, I can go in and clearly know who's owned my house through the history. And then now on that blockchain, it's always recognizable. And, when I sell my house from myself to Kayla, it creates an actual hash in that particular blockchain. Right. And why it's so beautiful, just giving you an idea of what it is and why the technology around the cryptocurrencies and, blockchains in general are so revolutionary, is because imagine being able to have a ledger that sees all transactions that ever existed, and it can digest, that ownership time, everything within seconds in these particular cases.
I like to think,
and it can't be altered too, right? I mean, you can't get into the blockchain.
Correct.
And
can't be altered.
And that was kind of what I was going to add, is I just like to think of blockchain in like the simplest form. It's like a shared digital spreadsheet, if you will, where everyone can see the information, but no one can change it. And so you have all of this trust around this digital ledger, but there's no middleman that's in there changing things. And so when you think of it in the use of real estate, it's kind of fascinating to think that if you could see the title to your home on this blockchain, on this digital ledger, and then some of the things that you can potentially do with your home because it's on this ledger. Like one of the things that's being really widely talked about right now is being able to sell a fraction of your home on the blockchain. So instead of maybe going out and getting a home equity line of credit, maybe you could sell a token of your home and realize some of that gain that way. So a lot of neat use cases around blockchain and the technology, especially as it relates to real estate.
Yeah, I read some of that tokenization of real estate.
Yep.
And it literally, I'll show you what I pulled up here. It said, Real estate can be divided into digital shares, tokens representing ownership in a property. This allows fractional ownership. People can invest in a portion of a building instead of buying the whole property. It could open up real estate investing to smaller investors globally, increasing liquidity. Imagine that. I could look at this big complex downtown Phoenix, go, I'm going to put in $1,000 and I own a fractional portion of that. But what does it do for title theft? I mean, does it basically eliminate that threat?
Yes. Agreed. Yes.
Yes.
And so these blockchains are so secure because each block has the previous blocks verifying the ledger. And so in order to, hack a blockchain, it would literally take a quantum computer, millions of years to hack one of these blockchains. So because of it, it's very secure. And, we here at Zoodealio, we keep it real when it comes to real estate. And our experience with title companies and title insurance is, we have a saying here, I hope it's okay to say it on your show, Rick, but at times it feels like legalized fraud. You're paying so much money to have title insurance and a title policy, and every single real estate transaction has this. And the times here, we've been a part of, between Eliot and I, we've been a part of over 10,000 transactions. We have only used title insurance twice. And one of the times that we used title insurance, it was a complete joke. We ended up, we had to hold the bag on a bad property for about a year because they allowed title to transfer and they shouldn't have. And because of that, sure, the title company's attorney stepped in and they defended us in court, but we were stuck holding this property, paying for it, paying for the utilities, paying for the HOA, and they didn't make us whole. Essentially, all they would do was defend us in court. And, eventually they did get that title cleared. And so we were able to resell it. But our experience with title companies and title insurance has been lackluster. And so we see how this technology could really impact, not only from that trust and transparency perspective, but also lowering the cost of a real estate transaction.
Yep.
Yeah, it only makes sense to me that the cost of title insurance would plummet if you needed it all.
Exactly.
Now we're not going to get any more emails from title people after this one, but it's that's part of the things that are changing is that, okay, if you've got this system where it's ironclad and it can't be monkeyed with, and, right now you can go in and you can register your property with Maricopa County and say, alert this email if anything changes on my title. That's great stuff, especially if you have elderly parents.
Yes. Yeah.
You want to get an alert that something happened with that title and jump on it right away. But kind of hard to do that if it's all secured in the blockchain. And then you've got a clear ledger where you can go in and see who did what and exactly when, and it's very transparent. So I think that in and of itself is just going to lower costs. But then there's a note here that said you also have decentralized multiple listing services. Blockchain could power a shared tamper-proof MLS accessible to everyone. It eliminates duplicate listings and outdated data.
How cool is that?
Yeah. So this whole battle over what we're seeing with Compass and Zillow and everything, blockchain is just going to go poof, you guys quit arguing who got all the MLS on the blockchain now. And and that speeds things up too.
Absolutely.
Information is speed.
Yeah, to me, Rick, I love that whole piece, and I've seen and heard some things around that as well. I think when we really start looking at going back to the tokenization of certain things, it's just crazy how the utility for that particular piece, right? Like whether it be the house or tokenizing, to me, I look at it even as like the storage ability of being able to not only have the transaction, but the documentation potentially uploaded, right? Like there's just the use case for it of solving problems is just crazy massive. Right. And so think about it. You have people calling you or, calling you up. Hey, what was my settlement statement? Or can you give me my settlement statement from 5-6 years ago? Right. So it's just, again, when we start looking at a lot of the use case of what it is, it's really just jumping real estate into the 21st century and beyond. And so for me, it's one of those things that I personally see it as like, the statement slowly, then suddenly. I think it's a book. But I think that this is going to be one of those types of environments, is where it's like slowly you heard about it, but then it's just going to be like, bang.
Well, I agree. And I think we're starting to see the early formations of that happening when it comes to titles and ownership. And we're starting to see that happen with cars. So about a year ago in California, they contracted with a blockchain technology called Avalanche, and they will be digitizing 42 million car titles on the Avalanche blockchain, which is incredible, right? Because one of the things that's difficult about adopting blockchain in real estate is there has to be an entry onto the blockchain. And so if you can imagine all of the deeds across the US, that process would take some time. It'd be pretty cumbersome, and we'd all kind of have to agree on how we were going to go about doing that in order to have an acceptable and a trustable method of it. So I think that, seeing California digitize and put their car titles on blockchain is that early beginning where it's going to be suddenly and fast. And exciting, and we get to be a part of it and see it play out in real life. And there's a title company called Proppy that is already doing that. They're already putting anything that, if you close with Proppy, they'll put your title on blockchain, so you already have that. It's like the early formations of it, and it's just really exciting. It's a really neat time to see real estate evolve.
Is that Prop B?
Prop P.
Prop B.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cars. I mean, gosh, there went your Carfax.
Oh, absolutely. It's total transparency, right? I think that's, to me, as we go further down this, like, so many consumers today, that is probably one of the biggest things when we think about, lawsuits and just really the revolution of so many things is the clarity around transparency, right? And it's not as hard and once upon a time you could snow people pretty easy, right? And I mean, we all know that there's been a ridiculous amount of lawsuits through the years around snowing, et cetera, where now this is, when it comes to that type of thing, especially Carfax, especially clue reports on, houses, especially on the terms of the deal, right? All the things that are pertinent facts that a lot of times we're going to want to know around our greatest asset is going to just be there in real time for us.
Yeah, I mean, that's, eventually when it all rolls out and gets packaged together, you're going to be able to see real quickly, okay, when, how many insurance claims are on this house? How much did they cost? What did they repair? What kind of improvements were made? It's all stuck in the blockchain, just all tied together.
Correct.
You can instantly see it. And that explains why so many data centers are propping up all over the country, which is,
they're preparing to build them under the ocean, right? Like, I mean, that's going on a ton right now to build them underwater so they can keep them cool.
Yeah, it amazes me that they're putting so many data centers here in Arizona. It's like, why? I mean, I'd be putting them in the mountains of New Mexico or something. I wouldn't, or go up to Pine Top and Sholo, but not down here in the valley, because they need a lot of water for cooling.
Seriously, that is a good point. It does seem like they are everywhere. Well, we live in the East Valley, and so, oh my goodness, everywhere. You just see these data centers everywhere. It's insane.
They don't really employ that many people either. They're just people that are there watching the servers, and I mean, you maybe 150
Massive.
People,
but not a lot of people.
Riding around little scooters looking at the servers, but they look like a building that would hold 2,000 people, and it could hold 2,000 people, but they don't need them. So I can see a day coming in real estate where transactions just happen quicker, smoother. Nobody's left in the dark. It could, the fractional ownership could be very, very interesting. And when you think of that, that's fractional ownership worldwide, globally. Not just, buying a 1/8 of a townhome in Tempe. I can own something in Dubois. So I'm excited about the whole process. I'm glad to see you guys touched on that. And I think the first one that we will see, like you said, are improvements in title and lowering those doggone title insurance fees. Those are, $1,500.
If not more.
Yeah. And every single time a property transfers, it's just, it's just a lot of money.
It's right up there with my love for HOA
Disclosure.
capital fees.
Yep.
Yes, a money grab. It's just a money grab, and you know
No
it.
reason
And
for that, you know? So,
Yep.
so we can go into our system and change the name.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. That's
Well,
it
but
is-
they're
it is
charging
a
you
tough-
$4,000 for capital improvement.
Yeah.
You're supposed to be collecting HOA dues every month and then budgeting for your capital expenses, but they decided that, well, every time somebody moves in, let's just get another $4,000 from them and we'll just salt it away over here. And that's because there's a cap on the transfer fees for HOAs. Your HOA can only be a certain amount of transfer fee, a certain amount above the actual HOA payment. So they made up this thing called capital improvement fee.
Some crafty lawyer.
Yeah, it's
Yep.
just such a hard thing to explain. I explain it by going, well, I don't like it, but here's what it is. Yeah. And you see it. I think Sun City is somewhere almost $5,000. Sun Lakes is like
Yeah,
4,200.
some of them are substantial.
So
I saw a house
crazy.
in Sun Lakes once. They had a special assessment for roofs because they were like, they called them townhomes, but they weren't. They were just two homes that were attached and then two more homes that were attached. And their roofs were all owned and managed by the HOA, not individually. And they had to have a special assessment to repair their roof. And it was
Hmm.
$9,000.
Whoa.
So
Wow.
I looked at this
That's the
house
cost of
that
a
was
roof
listed there,
in most cases.
so I looked at this house and they had, if you wanted to buy this house, well, you had to, they were saying that they wanted you to pay the special assessment, the $9,000. And then then you had to pay the capital improvement, which was 4,200. So you're over 13,000 before you even get into what I call the real estate fees.
Yeah.
And so it sat there for a long time. Finally, they paid off the special assessment, and that made it a little easier to sell. But I thought, oh, this is getting stupid. So, but people got to
Yeah.
watch those numbers, and they have to be explained to you. So, when you see a listing on Zillow, it's not going to have that kind of detail in it. But
Hmm.
if we
Right.
get into blockchain, all that detail will be right there. Where
Right.
did that fee come from? What is it? Where's the money going? And can the HOAs put all of their transactions into the blockchain so that when you're HOA, you can go, what'd they spend money on this month?
Right.
And see what's in the ledger. So it's going to be an interesting time. I had fun talking to you guys about this, and we'll jump on again next week and see what's going on in real estate. The government is still shut down. It's kind of really starting to raise some problems right now with air traffic.
Oh yeah.
And so if you're talking about catching an airplane, it's going to be a problem. I think LA shut down, isn't it?
Woo.
So it's gonna, it always gets ugly before they finally settle. They want us to squirm. So here we go again. So
We're squirming.
we're doing it. So, well, it's good talking to both of you, and we will catch you next week. Okay.
Awesome.
Thanks,
Thanks
Rick.
for having us, Rick.
You bet. Take care.
Bye-bye.